And I'm back with another video on this hard stack system. The reason I want to make another video is because I want to get a little more in depth as to what the box looks like when it's already filled with stuff. So let me go ahead and try and do that while the camera is behind me. So the first things first. When I first checked these at the Walmart, the latches right here were pretty loose on those. They had 3 of them at this the very first time I tried them, and they were all loose. I was at Walmart last week. I saw this one. I thought I'd test it out, but as you can see, the latches are fine now on all of them. So I don't know what was wrong with those cases or those other 3 boxes or 3 sets of these that they had a long time ago when I first checked on them. Now, because of that kind of turned me off. I figured all of them were like that, but then last week I found this one and it seemed okay. I looked over it, everything was fine, nothing broken, and to boot, it was on special, on sale, so I picked it up, which is kind of sad because I actually have one of those cards, a gift card that somebody gave me for Home Depot. So I've been waiting for the Home Depot to go down, the Husky, which is the one I was looking at too, but he never did. So this one came up on sale, so I got this one. But the best part is that I wanted something with all of them with the lid on it. This one happens to have the lid on the rolling toolbox at the bottom, which is nice, and I really like that. So to begin, after looking at this and playing with it, the first thing you notice is that all the latches are in the front, so nothing on the sides, which is nice because it makes everything simple to use and just put back and forth. So that's kind of nice. Number 2, it actually looks really nice. Surprisingly, after a while, it just looks very nice. I even got a compliment on it. So that's just the very the very first thing you'll notice. They are very attractive. Um, there is one thing I want to mention. Out of all the stacking boxes that you find nowadays, this is probably one of the smaller ones that stacks like this. Obviously, there are other smaller, even smaller and less sturdy ones, but say for the Husky to the Rigid to the DeWalt to the Milwaukee, this is going to be the smallest one because the other ones are like 22 inches. This one's, they call it 21 even though it says 20.7 on there. So it's not going to be the biggest one. Just keep that in mind. It's definitely not the biggest, but depending on what you're using, it may work for some people, it may not. If you're using big drills and saws and things like that, this may not be the one for you because it's just not that big. These are just a few tools that I had laying in the floor all over, and I was able to get them all in there. So that worked great. Before I go into more of this particular case, let me go ahead and compare the depth between this one and that one over there. The reason I want to do that is because I just noticed that the Husky, it's a little bit deeper. You have to put down the handle in order to keep it open. So I'll just do it this way. I'll just take this one and this one. So first things first. If you look at the bottom, this one versus the Husky, this one's deeper, or it's got more of a hump. So what happened was, when I was trying to put this in here, it sticks out, as you can see. And when I went to the Husky one, it goes all the way in. So the Husky is going to be deeper just because of the design. They're about the same. They're actually the same exact height, but because of the design, The Husky is definitely deeper. They're similar in design, but this one seems to have a bigger hump on the bottom. That's just what holds it. And let me see, let me get a close up here. So one thing I didn't even realize that the heart has this little center uh, area here that you can put stuff. I had my 3/8 extensions there and these on here because I use them more often, so it's kind of nice that it has that. This is the Husky, the smaller Husky ones. It's not the stacked version of theirs. I didn't want the big one, I wanted a small one. This is the $11 and something without tax, well, before tax, excuse me. So as you can see, there's no divider in here. It's similar in terms of what you get, but this one doesn't have it. And this one does, and I do like that because I'm able to do that. So as you can see, I also took I had to take two of these out in order to get my couple of these pliers in here, just because they don't fit on these. Unfortunately, they just don't, but this way, this is stuff that I use more often, and all this stuff was actually in my bag, so now I can put it up here where I can get to it easier. These are my adapters, so I got a couple of sockets in here and other adapters, and then I got my hex adapters, screwdrivers, and then a couple of pliers and stuff, which is the most common things I use. So that actually helps. It would be nice if it was a little wider, maybe deeper. I don't know. I mean, there's just so many different ways you can make this stuff. So that is the top, and they do lock really well, even though not the whole latch is metal, but they do work. So the only thing is you don't want to overfill them because you don't want to put too pressure on the latches in order to close them, because then you can even break them if you do that, obviously. The other thing that I want to mention, let me get back here, is that the handles, they have these rubber pieces here which makes them really nice to hold. They're very sturdy. Another suggestion that I would make is that they could make these, keep them in black, but change the colors on these, say red and black, green and black, yellow and black. That way, if people want to use them for different things, they can do that. So that would be kind of nice. There are a couple of improvements that I noticed they can also do, but I'll get into that as soon as I get to it, to the other sides. Oh, this is a perfect time to mention this. The good thing, as I said, all the latches are in the front, so that makes it nice and easy to access. Except for this part here. This is where you can lock it. However, it would be nicer if it was more of a handle that you can pull it, because as it is, there's nothing to grab to here. So when I want to pull it from the front, you can't do that. You have to do it from the side, and it makes it awkward, especially if you're against the wall. So that would be one improvement I like to see, more of a handle on these. And on the sides, you do have all handles right there. I hope this shows it. And I like that because there's no latches or anything in here. The handles feel a little bit on the shallow side, even though I don't have big hands. They work fine, but you know, you just want to make sure you get a nice handle. And they're pretty sturdy. There are some ribs in the bottom, so they're not going anywhere, which makes them really nice. But the front definitely should have more of a handle, actually. Now, if I can get to the bottom, yeah, you can see that. Right here, there's a step or a place where you can put your foot and tilt it. That's the best feature on here because that it comes in so handy. That's the first thing you do. That way you're not always pulling from the handle, but from the bottom, and then it makes it easier to pull. So that is an extra cool feature right there. Something I didn't realize I was gonna use a lot until I started moving it. Now, there's this Cubby Hole here, which I'm not sure what that is for because the specs or nothing mentions that. Yeah, you can put your phone in there, and maybe while you're working with the bottom, you can put like a screwdriver or something. But it's kind of, well, it's there, but it I don't see much of a use for it because one, it's below the handle here, and then you have this stuff on there. So unless you're just using that bottom one, maybe that'll work. Anyways, not a big deal. But this is actually the guide for the top, even though you only have 2 screws here, so that helps keep that nice and steady. And that may be a problem for some people. If they have a truck and they have a cover, this may be a problem because this doesn't go farther down. That's as far as it goes. So it may be a good thing or a bad thing. Also, having the button on the middle makes it a little awkward if you're against the wall or something. So I think even though that works, it would be still okay to have it on the top. I think that'll make it a little easier to get to when you're in a tight spot. Now, you can open this once you open, I'll put the handle down like this. So it'll open. However, since it's already there, I don't know why they didn't put it up so that you could sit this over or rest this on it so that you didn't have to worry about tipping over and breaking your hinge, which it can happen if it's too heavy. And oops, I went the wrong way here. Hang on. I was trying to open the lid, not the top cover here. Hang on. I want to show you that you can open the lid on the on this, but see, it goes all the way back. So that it's gonna put too much weight on it unless you have a wall here, and then it'll just break your hinge because it's all plastic too. But they could have put that higher right there, just made it stop just about there so that it would could rest on it, and then you can still get into it and use it without having to take this off. So that can be improved a little bit just to make it a support so that you can open it. That way you don't have to take everything off. So I just noticed that after I kind of did that, it does have these 2 feet, but they don't touch on here. However, no one can stop you from maybe adding a piece of wood here that when you open it, it'll sit on the edge right there and stop it for you. So that may be an improvement or something that I might do just to have that support on there. Not a hard thing to do, but actually, yeah, because you just put say a piece of wood here, a screw from inside. I think it'll clear the little blue pieces there, or the inserts. So that's pretty much that on the back. Now let's go to, let's see here. See, I keep pulling it and I keep forgetting the buttons on here, so you gotta use 2 hands every time. So that might get annoying pretty quick unless you just leave it up above. Let me turn this over. All right, let's take these off. So it's nice and accessible at the front. And as you can see, let me get closer here. Let's see, where are we? All right. the handle on this one, it's really nice and sturdy. The bottom is metal, it's pretty thick. It's got that nice rubber molding, and it stays up, it doesn't flop around. So that's pretty nice. Um, this is what these are. This is what locks your tops and bottom, and that's all you need. It works perfect. These may be a little bit on the thin side. I mean, unless you're pushing them and hitting them all or just throwing stuff around. So that could be improved a little more, just a little thicker, just to make sure they don't break too easy. And as you can see, I can't open this because I have the handle up while it's on the bottom tool cart. Once you put it up, then it stays up. So it works nice, but that's just something to keep in mind. You have to keep doing. Now here's where I want to get into a bit more of a close-up. So here's where I kind of ran into a slight problem. Not necessarily a bad thing, but this could definitely be improved. If you fill this up and you go above the line there, you're not going to be able to close the lid because it has these ridges that come out too far. And when that happens, if you have more stuff here and you try to close it, it's just going to hit whatever you got there. So what I recommend for these is for them to make it thicker and lower or farther in there so they don't stick out so much. And that's why I was recommending the lids, top and bottoms, the top and the bottoms here to be a little thicker so that they can support the more weight and be sturdier and not get in the way of this inside with what you have. So that is another thing to keep in mind with this particular box. I don't know how the other ones do it, but this one has that issue. And as you can see, I can move this rib. So they're not the thickest one, and they could be better. They could be thicker and farther in so that they don't protrude out into your tools. So that's the other improvement. I can show you, as you can see, that could definitely be improved. Now, this is the tray that it comes with. As you can see, this is where I keep most of the stuff that I just had around on the floor. And the reason I filled this one up is because I don't plan on taking this with me anywhere. This is just for storage of the extra stuff that I have that doesn't get used every day. So that's why this one's filled up. So you can see there's the charger and just a couple other things that just stuff I don't use every day. So as you can see, it closes nice and fine, but as soon as you put anything over that, this gets in the way. So you don't want to do that because you will break it. So you gotta be careful not to overfill that either. And that reminds me, you can probably cut them down, but yeah, they're not gonna be that great. So yeah, those things need to be thicker and lower to make this a little more functional in terms of space. All right, let's go to the next one. So here we go. Whoops, sorry about that. My tripod just fell up. All right, so if I'm just gonna be using this and maybe say this one, that works. Oh, I just noticed something. I can't roll it with the you can't roll it with the handle down like that. I just tried it. It won't roll because the handle's literally on the floor. There we go. See? Oh, okay. So as soon as you put the handle down, it's not gonna roll anywhere. So you're good there. But you won't be able to open the bottom lid with this on it. So on this one you can't do it because this doesn't go any farther down. So this one you have to take off. No matter what you have here, in order to get to the bottom one. So there you go. You will have to take whatever is on here in order to get to the bottom here. And this is down, whether it's down or up. This one should be fine. Yep. So if you just use the bottom, you're good. And again, same problem here. Actually, it's even more pronounced on here. This thing is even bigger than the previous box. Comes out even more. And these are still pretty thin. So the ribs need to be wider and shorter. And the plastic needs to be just a little thicker in order to give it more strength and not have this protrude into the box and the tools if we're going to fill it up. That's pretty much the biggest one I've noticed. And the fact that you don't have a handle on the front and maybe the button here. Those are the 3 improvements, and the thickness of the boxes that I can think of. Let's see. Yeah, see, the bottom feels pretty soft. So yeah, you don't want to be putting a ton of weight on this because it's just going to go right through. Apparently you can put up to 100 pounds on this, or altogether, I guess. I wouldn't put that much on something like that. It's just not strong enough from what I can tell. I mean, you just saw me put my foot in there and I can move it. As long as you keep that in mind, the box should be fine. If you're working, say, in, I don't know, tinting or something like that, tinting windows, your tools may not be that heavy, so you might be okay. If you're working with electricians, your tools may be different. If you're a mechanic, your tools are going to be different. So definitely not for a carpenter, because if you're doing a lot of woodwork, those are big tools and they're not going to all fit in here. But again, it depends on what you're going to use it for. So I know I've gone quite along, but I had to redo the video because the other one, I didn't like it. It was too shaky and too grainy, and so I'm doing this over so I can get a better view of all this for you guys. I hope that helps. If anything else comes up that I can think of, I'll add it on the comments, or any questions, add them on the comments. I'll try to answer them there. You can get another one of those blue boxes to add on top of this. Unfortunately, that box was like $17.99, and I got the whole thing for $40 because it was on special, on sale. So getting an extra box is not even worth it for that much, just to give you an idea. But this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. I hope this is a better video than before so that you can get a better idea of what you get. Normally, I haven't seen any other videos showing you all the details. So I did try to do that for you, and I hope that clears a lot of stuff up. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop it right here, so I hope that helps.